Flies, and we're racing.
The high counter pushes Jensen along the exit of turn number 4.
This win, it's
big fly!
It's time to go racing at GRIDLIFE Midwest. Hill side by side. O'Gorman around the outside now for the top spot. Tom O'Gorman goes to lead. 3 wide for the lead.
This is great racing, folks. This is what this series is all about.
The history of North American road racing can be traced to a few select racetracks across the country. Decades later, it's the same dozen or so courses that still stand as the biggest, the fastest, or the most beautiful tracks in the U.S. Places like Road America, Sebring, Laguna Seca, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, and one little track with a big reputation. This is Lime Rock Park, live for GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends Festival for the first time at Lime Rock Park. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Ben Morosky for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup practice and a whole weekend of on-track competition with Touring Cup, Track Battle, and for the first time ever, Drift.
Big deal. This is a big deal weekend, all around, I'd say. Not just the drift, but honestly having touring cars here with this big of a field, everything about it. It's going to be an epic weekend.
I'm so excited. This is a racetrack that is one of the original few in North America. Back in the 1950s, they built Road America, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, and then this place, Lime Rock Park, 1956. It hasn't really fundamentally changed all that much, but this is such a beautiful facility, Ben. I rolled in here just a couple days ago and was shocked at just the spectatorship of this place. You can put yourself on a hill in the shade and watch cars for half a lap around this 7-turn road course. It's absolutely fantastic.
It is. That's the best part. I mean, even this morning with HPD, I saw people up on the hill, and it's kind of the culture here, right? It's a very family-oriented, set up a picnic, sit on the hill, enjoy the beautiful scenery that we have with this nestled-in track to the Litchfield Hills. Yeah, it's just, it has a certain feel to it. So I'm excited to have you guys here. You know, obviously this is our local track, so we're here all the time, but we still get goosebumps when you roll through the hills and you come up the countryside and get to this special place.
This really is exciting. On track now is GRIDLIFE Touring Cup practice. We'll get timing up for you when or if they run timing for this session. We'll have qualifying after lunch a little later today. 28-car field joining us here for GLTC. Now, that is almost half of what we had at Mid-Ohio. However, this track is half the length of Mid-Ohio. This is a big field for this racetrack, Ben. We've got drivers returning like all the ASM crew. Andy Smedegard, points leader Tom O'Gorman, Matt Waldbaum, who just got his first GLTC race win at Mid-Ohio a few weeks ago. And then drivers like Luke McGrew, Eric Cattell, Dustin Barty, Brian DeFries. All the regulars are here. And then a handful of new drivers as well, including some that you know.
Yeah, so this being kind of like the home-based track for a lot of East Coast drivers, we've got Tyler Pappas here, who's from Jersey. We've got two of our guys from FC Piero, actually. So we've got one's going to be driving a Cayman this weekend, and that's Rob Gagliardo, and Stephen Capola is coming up in his Spec E46. This track, it's actually a really competitive track for variants of cars, which is kind of GLTC's specialty, right? So because it's really a momentum track, you can see smaller, lighter cars do extremely well. There's not a lot of straight for a large car, you know, to really pull on people, such as Mid-Ohio. So I'm curious how things will kind of balance out. And this being probably a lot of these guys' first times at Lime Rock Park, I'm interested to see sort of where things land.
Look at this uphill over turn 5. What a phenomenal corner. We might see some cars get a little airborne there in Track Battle a little later. Very excited for that. We just saw the yellow and black and kind of yellow camouflage Honda CRX of Adam Jabay, our motorsports director, who's going to climb behind the wheel of that 22 car this weekend, behind O'Gorman and Waldbaum. That CRX coming down the hill. In the background, there's Smedegard. There it is, that CRX way in the backdrop. But there's your points leader, Matt Waldbaum, Smedegard, and then that 22 car. Adam Jabay, he barely fits in this thing, Ben. He doesn't get a lot of chances to drive, but this is going to be a weekend where he'll get some seat time.
I absolutely love that he's here and he's driving. I mean, remember maybe 3 years ago when we started having this conversation about coming here, he was so gung-ho on just at least driving. Like, he was like, we have to do it because he just wanted seat time here. So honestly makes me super happy to see him in a car.
This car is carbureted. It's got an old engine in an old Honda power plant, and it's not going to be incredibly quick, but I'm sure he'll have a big smile on his face regardless. Right behind him is Zach Lavoie, another guy that you'll find a smile on a lot of the time from the ASM camp. He missed Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. He's back in the number 42 car. And just behind, there's a couple new drivers that I think that's that 1988 Toyota of Eric.
Is it the Celica?
Yeah. That is
Eric Thompson?
Eric Thompson, that's right. Another new driver on our list out of Matawan, New Jersey. Tailored Chassis Solutions as the race team. And there's going to be a handful of new drivers, so bear with myself and Ben as we get accustomed to some of the new faces around here. Austin Hurdle and that orange and purple 370Z is back this week after missing Mid-Ohio. So lots of faces that we haven't seen and lots of faces that we have on track right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly another reason why I'm super stoked on this event is being on the East Coast. I want to see more East Coast drivers partake in GLTC. So it's nice if this is the intro to it, or maybe some people get some FOMO watching at home saying, like, I want to be there next time. So, I mean, NJMP was a few weeks ago. Solid turnout, again, for a track pretty far away from everything else. And so same thing, new faces, old faces, 28 drivers. It should be, you know, a solid weekend.
A couple Corvettes out there. One of them is Clayton Fitzpatrick in that number 71 car out of Marengo, Ohio. And there'll be another Corvette with a number 7 on the side. That's Luke McGrew, who just debuted that car, a brand new black Corvette at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And good to have Luke back with us after missing a majority of the season setting that car up. I just love this corner. The sight of the cars coming up over that crest. It's such the elevation change here is so abrupt.
Yes.
It rolls and flows through most of the track, but in turn 5, it's just you're going up a story in a couple hundred feet.
And it doesn't matter how many times you've done it. You're still clinching. You're still making sure you got that wheel straight. And it doesn't take much to feel airborne. You know, it's that roller coaster bump where you could have 140 horsepower. If you hit that thing, you know, the car's going to unsettle. You're going to lift. And
there is one car coming into the shot here at the back of the shot. That's Ronnie Vidoc for Track Monsters, and this is a Honda Challenge car that has been slightly modified to run with us here in GLTC, and Ronnie is new to Touring Cup this weekend, but I have hoped that this car is going to be pretty competitive, and Ronnie is a very capable driver as well.
Ronnie is a capable driver. I've raced against him in ST5 here in the Northeast, and he's super fast. Not usually in this car, so it's actually cool that he brought this out, obviously, especially with the theme of this weekend.
Yeah.
So I love to see that, but he's definitely got seat time here at Lime Rock Park, and I expect that car to be pretty competitive. Yeah,
speaking of the theme of the weekend, this event's called Circuit Legends, and it's all about bringing out the motorsport legends of the late 80s until the early 2000s, and this is towards the tail end of that time period. This is a model year 1999, but a great example of a car that that really means something in the track and racing community. And there's a lot of history behind Honda and Acura in general in their racing programs. Think Peter Cunningham, think real-time racing. This is a car that has seen a lot of track time in North America.
Yeah, I love that. I'm sure it's raced here before.
I'm sure it has. Lots of times. There's Robert Thorne popping out of the pits. He's won a couple of races so far this season. Robert is 5th in the standings. 1 win on the season so far. 8 podiums in 16 starts, so not a bad year for Robert Thorne as he gets up to speed in his ASM BMW M3.
Yeah, so he's back in the E36. He was at NJMP in a Miata, I think?
NJMP, he was in the red S2000.
Was an S2000.
That is run by Salil Shukla out of Greenwood Village, Colorado here this weekend. Salil owns that car, and Robert was borrowing it for the weekend.
Nice.
So Robert's back in familiar territory this weekend. Into turn 5 again, and over the uphill. This is a car that you can see it get light, the shadow in the car, just for a moment. You see the light underneath it as it crests the hill. But
it'll give you that butt pucker every time.
Yeah. And then into turn 6 where West Bend is and down the hill at turn number 7. Now, this is an interesting racetrack because a lot of the corners aren't even named by their numbers like a lot of tracks. Pretty much every corner has a nickname.
Yeah, it's small enough to have a personality in each corner, which is kind of rad. And, yeah, honestly, it's because each one has so much nuance. People are going to be putting down probably hundreds of laps this weekend, just given the fact that they're mostly going to be sub 1 minute in the competitive section. So you're going to get very familiar with all these corners, unlike larger tracks where you kind of have time to think. You don't have time to think. That's why they call it the bull ring, too. Is like you have a very short amount of time to take a deep breath and loosen your hands before you're already back in turn 1.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time to breathe around here. Lap times are going to be in the low 50-second range. This is Michael Herzen, right? This is Mike driving this car this weekend, the 710 BMW.
Did not know he was bringing I know the E30 was here, but
look at this. This is a great example of GLTC. 2 polar opposite cars on the racetrack together.
Couldn't be more different. Yeah, honestly, the E30, Michael's probably put down hundreds, if not thousands, of laps here and potentially in that car. So they used to endurance race this car. It's kind of how our program started at FC Puro, was with Michael's personal E30. This thing was not even close to trying to be competitive at Gingerman. But, you know, I think he does maybe 101, 102s in that car here. Again, momentum track, not a huge straight, so he actually has a shot at, you know, at least hanging with someone. I would love to see him and Adam battle, actually.
So earlier in the weekend, I was talking with Scott Giles, who's one of our competition directors in GLTC. We were guessing what kind of lap times we'd see drivers running, see cars getting airborne and sideways over turn 5. And typically a TCA car, World Challenge TCA, would be around the same pace as a GLTC car. Well, that was 2 seasons ago. Yeah. And Scott predicted we'd be in the 59-second range. O'Gorman's just ran a 57.9, and I think we'll be in the mid-57s by the time we get to
I thought the exact same thing coming into this weekend. I figured everybody getting comfortable with the track would be around 59 seconds. That's kind of your average time, and I figure the top pointy end will be in the 57s, and we're already seeing that.
So Tomo working his way through turn number 3. Again, we're in GLTC practice right now. O'Gorman, Catil, Robert Thorne running first through third. Ronnie Vidok in fourth, and Matt Waldbaum, who is coming off his first GLTC victory at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Austin Hurdle runs 8th. Charles-Andre Billadeux, the number 26, runs in 9th. And Salil Shukla runs 10th in the 777 car. Down the order just a little bit, we'll talk about some more drivers that are on track. Matt Corrence out of Canada is in the number 52 8th-gen Honda Civic. He's on track right now running in 26th. Rob Gagliardo is who is with FC Puro, running the number 609 Porsche Cayman. Now, that is an old Grand Am ST car, which
it is.
I grew up watching Grand Am and watching the ST class in the TC racing. And tell me a little bit about that car if you know much about it.
So Rob honestly stumbled upon this, I think, 2 years ago. He's actually a huge Spec E46 guy. He's won nationals a few times, so extremely, you know, quick driver. And he picked this car up for, honestly, a steal and has not driven it much. He literally bought it. I think he lives in Virginia. I think it was somewhere local down there at one of the shops. And yeah, he was like, this is a great excuse to finally get in the car and drive it. And he's like, I'm not worried about being competitive. He's like, I just really want to put seat time in this car, because he hasn't, because he's always in his E46. So we're all kind of excited to see what it does. It looks good out there, and again, it's cool to have that history.
It really is neat. And there he is, by the way, Rob Gagliardo in the number 609, rolling through turns 1 and 2. They call that Big Bend over there. And then the next turn, turn 3, that's just the left-hander, as one big dust cloud kicks up from whoever's in front of Rob, a couple BMWs, and then that Toyota of Eric Thompson.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about this as we saw Tomo already putting down 57. I mean, he's probably one of the only drivers here at the pointy end, at least, who's super comfortable. In this track, there's so much time in those few high commit corners. So, honestly, the downhill, I expect into qualifying in race 2, 3, when confidence is fully there, you'll see that pace from everybody. But it's going to take a little bit of build-up to stay flat there or do the slightest of lifts to actually huck it into the front straight. And, I mean, that's the difference. On this small of a track, half of a second is the equivalent of 2 seconds, 3 seconds sometimes at larger tracks. So I think this practice is kind of telling of that right now. You're seeing that, you know, from the experienced drivers, that they have the confidence in some of those high commit corners. So, yeah, I think we'll see some catch-up, though.
Yeah, you mentioned the downhill, that turn number 7. Now, we have drone shots over there, but that is a fall that is almost as aggressive as the uphill at turn 5. And that's a high commit corner, as you call it, where you're basically flat, but to trust yourself to work up to that is tricky. And then on the exit, there's one narrow rumble strip. And if you drop a tire there, that's a big deal.
There is. It's not very forgiving to track all the way out there, so you really have to be committed. That said, with that elevation change, there's a ton of compression on the car. So as long as you don't upset the car and you actually ride that compression, you know, you can have a great run onto the straight. And that's where we're going to see most of the passing this weekend, is runs onto the straight from that downhill and coming into turn 1.
Certainly. We saw Eric Catil hit pit lane. Had an issue with his alternator not charging earlier, so hopefully he's got that sorted. We saw Matt Corrence down there on pit lane as well. So far, we've had 27 cars record times. Matt Corrence doesn't really have a representative one in that list just yet. Baton Rosenberg up to 13th place, but at the top it's still Tomo. And you mentioned the comfort level. He's 7/10 clear of Eric Catil, but that's a very strong run for this 82. And I predicted that Eric's car would actually run very, very well here. It's extremely lightweight, and it's just smaller dimensionally.
Yeah.
And this is a track that this car should be good on.
Yeah, and honestly, the uphill in a front-wheel drive car is a little more comforting than that step out on a rear-wheel drive car and getting back to power, or once you get that grip on those rear wheels, once it recompresses over the hill. So front-wheel drive, you know, you kind of keep it matted and you keep your hands straight, you'll be okay. So, yeah, I could see him being very competitive all weekend. Yeah,
there's Austin Hurdle chasing Rob Gagliardo now through turn number 3. Hurdle in that 3.4 Nissan 370Z. And Hurdle is out of Indiana and has joined us the last couple of seasons. Used to run this car in street class in Time Attack and has switched over to GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. Hasn't won just yet, but he's had a couple top 5 results in the past and is in position this weekend to do very, very well. Right now running 8th. So this is going to be a good weekend for Austin. You know, talking about the bigger cars versus the smaller ones, Eric Cattill's car is almost 1,000 pounds lighter than a couple of the cars that are out on track. How do you think, you know, the big heavy cars, they got that one straightaway, and the real good passing opportunity here is at the end of that straight. So despite the light cars maybe having an advantage elsewhere, do you think the bigger cars will get something out of that front straightaway?
Yeah, I mean, it is threatening. That said, it's a huge brake zone. So the more speed you're carrying out of that downhill, the harder you're going to have to brake. So it'll be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of that overlap coming in the brake zones, actually. But yeah, the lighter car around the left-hander and onto no-name straight, it's like that nimbleness that really allows you to get that good run into the no-name. But like you said, passing opportunities are into Big Bend. So I'm curious if that horsepower gap, that heavier car, even momentum-wise coming down that downhill, if they can keep the momentum and a heavier car with more inertia and more power, you know, there's potential just to get, you know, driven right around.
Yeah, the formula for GridLife Touring Cup also allows bigger and heavier cars to have more tires. So that difference, you know, with the extra compression, you're putting so much weight on that rubber, a little extra tire is not going to hurt. There's Eric Cattill in the hybrid racing EG. This is such a gorgeous car, and another one of the circuit legends that's joining us here this weekend. There's going to be a massive car show here on Sunday. There's a concourse tomorrow, and I think they're starting to fill in today, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I was excited to see this morning as I rolled in that cars were here, but also people were already here. I think New England area is actually just so excited to finally see GridLife here that the whole weekend should be a really, really solid turnout.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. But Cattill will be one of the drivers participating in the Circuit Legends Shootout, which will be tomorrow after GLTC Race 3. And it's just for about a dozen or so cars that are extremely special that are allowed to be driven on the racetrack, and they will go out and run a couple laps at a time. We'll talk about them and run you through all the special things that are here. You can start to see people filling in, and again, this racetrack isn't very big, so we're going to pack it pretty full tomorrow especially.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk to you mentioned, and I'm going back a little bit, but larger tires on the bigger cars. This is basically a circle track. So there's a very specific setup that you'll tend to put in cars here. So I'm curious if everybody came out here with maybe coming out of Mid-Ohio, their Mid-Ohio setup, it's going to be a bit different. So tire wear is it's an issue. Like, you are absolutely abusing one side of your car, and the other side of your car is not getting used at all.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if people will come back in after this practice session, start to make some setup changes, and realize that they're getting, you know, a ton of tire wear on one side and not the other, and what to do with that.
Yeah, again, these races are pretty short, about 15 to 20 minutes, but still, you'll see with short races, there's so much heat and pressure building up on that left side because you're leaning on the left so much. You only really have one true left-hand corner where you're leaning on the right.
Right, and it's a sacrifice people are often willing to make is you know, maybe taking some camber out of the car or figuring out a way to spread that load out a little more equally. So yeah, I'm curious if we'll see any of that taken to.
So it looks like practice is complete, and there is Eric Thompson in that 1988 Toyota, and we've had a couple old Toyotas in the past. Back at AMP, we had a 87 Corolla that ran with us that was off the pace, but it was still. I'm still glad that he brought it out and raced as we get the checkered flag here on GLTC practice. So Tom O'Gorman, Robert Thorne jumped up into second in late in practice. Again, those two are the ex-pro drivers that have lots of experience here. There are more than that in the field, but in cars that might be a little bit down on power in comparison to some of the cars up towards the front. But 27 of the 28 got on the racetrack and laid down some times. Adam Jabay in 24th, if anyone was wondering. Rob Gagliardo up to 22nd. And Nick Zhang running with the 363 camp. They are going to be right now scored in 20th place. Eric Thompson in that Toyota up to 19th. Not bad. And Ronnie Vidok in the number 1 car, that old Honda Challenge Integra, runs in 5th as practice comes to a close here, Ben. So practice is complete. We'll move on to GridLife Track Battle here in a couple minutes. But your thoughts after seeing some of the cars and seeing they weren't quite getting air, but they're very, very close, getting extremely light.
Yeah, they're getting light. And you got to think, we're heading into time attack. How much power does most of these GLTC cars have? Maybe 200 horsepower.
Right.
I know that they're fast and they're carrying a lot of speed, but it should get pretty interesting here.
I bet it will be. We'll be back in a few minutes with GridLife Track Battle. Coverage of GridLife Circuit Legends is brought to you by Momo, made in Italy since 1964. And by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. And by eBay Motors. Let's ride. And by Falcon Tires. The Falcon Azenas RT660 is the official tire of Club TR. And by Pilot Transport, the official logistics partner of GridLife Circuit Legends.
At 303, we're always chasing perfection. Protect your ride with graphene nanospray coating. Now, boost protection, shine, and slickness with Graphene Detailer. Level up your detailing game. Harness the power of graphene with 303.
Ooh. Call Logano. Hey, Joey, you can save money if you fill up at Shell if you use Advanced Auto Parts Speed Perks.
Dude, I'm way ahead of you.
You saved at the pump?
Yeah, I saved at the pump.
The pump?
The pump.
You saved at the pump!
Woo! Now you can save at the pump when you shop at Advance Auto Parts. Learn more at advanceautoparts.com/gas rewards.
Now, it's my turn.
The more power you have, the more grip you have, the more you push the limits, the more stopping power you need. Get race-proven technology. Hawk Performance.
Hey, we still on this weekend for a little?
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting the wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. Stable 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
We've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
Ferris Cartoony, 183, and sets a blistering new track record. GridLife TrackBattle visits Lime Rock Park for the first time ever. Typically, I'd sit in front of the camera with a sheet of records, but I have none on my lap because this is the first time that GRIDLIFE have visited Lime Rock Park, and we're here for the Circuit Legends Festival with some of the fastest time attack cars in North America, including the Formula Supra with Ryan Turk behind the wheel, Kyle Heyer and Ben Morowski joining us here for GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends at Lime Rock Park. Ben, welcome back. TrackBattle Group A is on track right now, and some of the fastest TrackBattle cars in the country are here running some of the quickest laps this racetrack has seen in a while.
Yeah, clean slate going into this weekend, right? I kind of love the fact that there's no records here. We don't know what's going to actually happen. I think we can assume it's kind of scary knowing that we have basically GT3 fast, if not faster, cars here heading up that uphill on this small, quick track. So I'm really curious where we're going to see these cars, get to over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm really excited. There is the number 70 of Dewey DeWitt. He's on track and was second at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the street modified class and is out on track with the all-wheel drive Subaru, getting some laps in here early, kind of on a cool down right now. Some other cars that are on track, that Formula Supra that you saw and heard, that's Ryan Turk behind the wheel in unlimited rear-wheel drive, and he has just run a 54.9, still working up to the limits of this racetrack. Now, because this track is so short, the differences between the cars that we just saw and the fastest cars of the weekend are not going to be monstrous time differences, at least on paper. But, Ben, if we're down in the low 50s as the 296 car just ran a 52.5, that's a quick lap.
That's extremely quick. And like we said before with GLTC, half a second here is the equivalent of 2 seconds somewhere else. So you're not going to see that spread, but the little bit of time you can find matters. And, already at 52 is pretty scary fast around this place.
Certainly. So no timing and scoring up just yet. They're still tracking down a transponder issue with that 296 car. Jackie Ding is on track. Showed up real late at Mid-Ohio just for Sunday and ran some incredible laps in a very short amount of time. And today so far has run at 54.722. There's Chris Boersma out of Canada joining us in the K-tuned Honda Civic. And, James Houghton is the one in the 296. We have him on our timing, but Timing Tower doesn't have him on there, so that's unfortunate for them. But there's your running order. And again, the class legend here is the red is your unlimited class. The teal is the street modified category. Orange is track modified. The gold is street GT. And then we've got our street class in the blue, Falcon Club TR in the gray, and then Falcon Sunday Cup, which we'll see a little later. Those will be in the pink. So there's your class legend, and the car's on track right now making laps around Lime Rock Park. Houghton is at that 52.5. That's an incredibly quick Evo, and it'll be tricky to beat that, I think. We might see drivers push the limits a little later today.
Yeah, James also has had a few more laps just from this morning, just driving. Oh, actually, was he in GLTC?
He did not should be.
I don't remember seeing him out there now that I say it.
Yeah, I didn't. You're right. He didn't make it out on track, but he is entered.
Okay.
And I believe he has the car.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Well, we'll have to see.
I guess we'll have to see.
In qualifying.
Now that you mention it.
Maybe this is his practice. He's practicing the Evo.
Well,
yeah.
I do know that they didn't know that car was going to be here until yesterday.
Okay.
And he was already coming.
Okay.
Anyway, so he must have the GLTC cover. There's Turk in the Formula Supra. This has the Judd V10, and there's Grant Walker with his what's left of a Mazda Miata. And I just discovered, and we see Turk going for a slide there, I just discovered at Mid-Ohio that when he comes off the throttle, the headlights open up.
I just saw that is simply amazing.
It's so cool. I mean,
is there actually cooling some?
Yeah, I think that's how that works. It's got. I think Turk just went off course there at turn 4.
Didn't look too aggressive, though.
No, I think he probably pulled off.
Out, yeah.
But, Grant Walker's car is pretty wild. So that is a track-modified car at a 54.966. Looks like Turk is back on course.
Yeah.
Might have just had a little slip.
It could have been the left-hander, honestly, there's a huge weight transfer there. And I'm sure with a car with that much power, if you get on a little bit early, can maybe step out a tiny bit or unsettle and not want to get hooked up for the no-name.
It's pretty quiet out there for this first session in time attack here. I know that they tried to break the groups up a little bit and make it a little easier to get some times in because it gets congested very, very quickly. But Boersma will take the right into the paddock.
The other thing is short sessions aren't necessarily a bad thing here. When you could have a 10-minute session, you're still going to get 8 good laps in, which, again, that's what you'd be used to, especially for a time attack car who's probably on-off laps-wise.
Right.
Makes sense to kind of break it up and give people a proper run.
Love the headlight mod there for Grant Walker. He continues to around the racetrack. Let's take this opportunity, have a look at our 3D track map here. And Ben, maybe you can walk me through a lap at Lime Rock Park here in just a moment when they pull that up. And we'll go through the lap. It's a short one, as we mentioned, 1.5 miles and 7 turns. But in a moment, we'll go through that and take a look at it. But just gorgeous scenes around here. You're kind of in inset in the mountains here, so it kind of acts like an amplifier, and you can hear cars from all over the place. And when they're doing autocross down there in the paddock, you can hear the tires screeching from all over. Really, really neat environment.
It does. It does. It reminds me of almost like a theater setting when you're sitting on the hill. The track's down beneath you. The mountains are up around you, especially New England fall. I was hoping the colors were going to start to change so you guys could just see it out here. I mean, it is breathtaking.
Yeah, probably need to wait another month or month and a half or so to really get the full effect of that. But Time Attack A still underway. There's Ryan Turk in the Formula Super. Looks like he just hit pit lane just to check under the car and make sure that there was nothing caught under there. The grass is pretty dry. You don't want to set anything on fire either.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't had rain in a while.
No, there's Grant Walker again through turn 1. He's getting his money's worth so far. Continuing to make laps at just under 55 seconds.
The headlight cooling is probably the most grid life thing I've seen in a while.
Yeah,
it's
so smart.
It's awesome.
And there's Turk back on course right now. There's car in the backdrop is the 176 of Cody Hunt. That's a C7 Corvette on track in Street GT, which is a class designed especially for American muscle. Cars like the Toyota Supra fit really well into that class. Big displacement, not a lot of aero. No aero, actually. It's just stock aero in that sense. So Street GT is a great class. This unlimited class, though, that Turk is running in, everything's hands-on, fair game. You can active aero. You put a V18 in there if you wanted to make that.
Just casually, yeah, no big deal.
You could throw whatever you want at it. And that's what they've done with this Judd V10 that was used at not this particular engine necessarily, but the Judd V10 was at one point used in Formula One.
And that's why it sounds so amazing.
And that's why
every time it drives by.
Yeah, it really is an incredible sounding engine. So
I'm gonna say that I mean, there's been barely any sessions, but I think we'll see some Club TR cars up here. I think a lot of street will be up in the 58s, 57s, maybe even 56s. But I think a Club TR car here can actually be really competitive overall, like for overall standings. So it's going to take probably some getting used to at that limit here with those cars because, a little less horsepower, a lot more momentum. But I think we're going to actually see some of those lighter cars put down some times up in this range that Group A is in right now.
Yeah, we'll probably see a lot of those cars in Group B up next. There is the 176 of Cody Hunt, and then right behind him is Dewey DeWitt in the street modified number 70. But there is Cody rolling his way through turn number 1 and 2. Jason Kanakary is here as well in a McLaren 720. So of course he had to bring something cool. I think he's had a 570 in the past, and he brought the 720 this weekend. And it's maybe a couple 100 pounds lighter, and also has way more horsepower.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Scary fast.
But Dewey right now in the Subaru Impreza L heading up towards turn number 5 in the uphill. The all-wheel drive can't hurt when you're heading up over that crest. And with the power level that this car makes at full song, it can certainly get a little airborne. Again, we're not seeing anyone 4 tires off the ground just yet. There is a photo of the FCP Euro Mercedes AMG GT4, 4 tires off the ground, airborne over turn 5. And I know we have cars here this weekend that make more power. So
100%. Yeah, it's that's how you know you're getting it going up that hill. I'm curious, too, actually, with some of these faster cars, if there's a lift, if they're just letting the car scrub speed, getting up into compression up the uphill. Because, yeah, with these horsepower low, I mean, there's a reason why GT3 doesn't run here, or they would run the chicane if they were here, because it's quite easy with a car with power to get up.
I am a little bit surprised that it's been so quiet on track. I know people have run basically a lap. Alex Moss has run a lap in the ASM Super K, the K24 S2000, the bright green car that has been at top of Street Mod a handful of times. Cal Fortner in Street Mod running the Mercedes AMG GTS at a 57.681. And just, it seems like not a lot of takers on the racetrack, and it's a little
I don't know if it's a condition thing or maybe everybody's just a little spooked right now. I'm not
Y'all
sure.
can go out first and you figure the track out.
Right.
So I think there might be a little bit of tentativeness involved. I think there could be some conditions potentially, but it's going to be warm all weekend. I don't think there's going to be one session that's great in particular, but checkered flag here after only 12 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, too, it's not super humid this weekend, so I don't see the track getting super greasy or anything. I mean, when we were in NJMP, it was like 102 degrees and 100% humidity. It was disgusting out. It is a little warm today, but I don't think the track's going to be in bad condition by any means at any point. Maybe later on tonight it'll be a bit quicker. But, yeah, quiet session overall.
Yeah, definitely
we'll
quiet.
see what Group B comes out.
So you mentioned Falcon Club TR. Now, that category is designed for cars that are under 2.5 liters of displacement.
Yep.
You can do engine swaps, but the engines can't be touched internally. Aero is allowed to an extent, and it makes for some really interesting builds because you get generally pretty lightweight cars with a lot of aero, and power level you're looking at low to mid 200s, which is similar, maybe a little bit more than GLTC.
Sure.
And we know that the GLTC cars are some of the quickest cars out there in terms of their power level versus the lap time that they run. So I think you're right about Club TR being an extremely competitive class overall this weekend.
Yeah.
While all the classes are separated into their own running in terms of the scoring, it will be interesting to see how far up the fastest Club TR car can get overall. I think it'll be pretty high.
It's cool to see at these smaller tracks, honestly. I mean, as a small car guy, like, these are the days, the weekends you live for. You go to Road America, you go to a larger track, walk-ins, and you can have a blast and it's amazing, but you know that there's sections that you're just going to get dragged. It's just not the case at Lime Rock, which is cool. You're kind of like the underdog,
Yeah, it is really neat. We mentioned Eric Catilla. He was actually a little bit dejected after Mid-Ohio because he felt like he was going to run even better. He ran top 10 all 4 races, but didn't feel like he really had the pace to compete. This is a weekend where we've already seen he has the pace to compete. We'll see how the car races in comparison to those heavier and torqueier cars, but I think it'll be an interesting dynamic to watch all weekend as Time Attack Group B hits the racetrack. There's a mini out there.
Yeah, fellow coworker Evan Medor. He's actually really quick. He's got a ton of track time here. That car is Gen 1 Mini, so it's a supercharged one. I know on his outlap earlier, I think he did a 101. He's ran 1 minute 0.01 before, so he is on the quest for sub 1 minute this weekend. He's dialed the car in a little bit, so it's cool to see that car actually in street, kind of where I left off a few years ago with the Mini. It would be a perfect Club TR car if it was allowed, but I believe he has a cam in it or something internal that he can't use. But I actually think he might be competitive this weekend in the street.
It should be fun to watch as cars take to the racetrack here for Time Attack B. And I think I heard earlier that they might run slightly shorter sessions and run a couple more. So instead of having A through C, we'll have A through D and run slightly shorter sessions just so we thin the track out a little bit. But in terms of Group A, didn't seem like there were very many takers. Seems like the track is a little busier so far.
No, I will say usually B and C, you'll start to see more people putting in more laps just because they're
Their
usually
cars
just
can
happen
run
to be out
that
there and they
long.
can run that long. Yeah, they don't need the cooldowns and the spacing that maybe an A car would use. So I think that's actually definitely the play.
There's a lot of new people here this weekend, or those that were new as of our New Jersey event a couple months ago. So I don't really know who's going to be at the top of any of these categories. I mean, typically we go to a Mid-Ohio, we go to a Midwest, and there's a handful of names that you'll always see at the top of the class. It's going to get mixed up here this weekend. I think Club TR will see Ben Thorne in the 66 Valvoline Civic. I think he'll be up towards the top. Alex Artea in Street GT should be up towards the top. But we might see a lot of locals, a lot of newcomers to Time Attack and Track Battle here in GridLife really get a shot at a podium or even win the weekend for their categories. That should be a lot of fun, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I think that's part of the point of you guys coming over here, right? Get some fresh blood in the pool, and maybe some people in the Midwest watch this weekend and say, I got to go defend myself next year, and maybe some people come out of Lime Rock that are running and say, I'm going to go out to the Midwest and try and do a full season next year.
I think that's great. And here's some other cool cars that we've got on track. A couple Tesla Model 3s from Mountain Pass Performance, and this is the future of motorsport, Ben.
It is.
And boy, what an exciting future it will be if they're all as fast as Teslas.
Yeah, a little different sound than the Jet V10, but it's it's no doubt that these are quick cars, and it's actually cool to see them out here trying to be competitive. I mean, wings are on them; they're ready to rip.
The biggest detractor for a Tesla in terms of its performance is just its weight, right? So if you can knock the weight down and get some aero on it to kind of offset that and get some big, wide, sticky tires on it, they have such a low center of gravity that they corner pretty well. They just have a lot of weight to throw around. But acceleration is certainly not their weak point.
No, it's ludicrous. It really is.
I like that. Down the front straightaway and into turn one. They got ludicrous mode. I like that pun there.
Like that?
Threw in there. Yeah, that's good. But this Mountain Pass Performance car, that's the 215 car of Sasha Anis for Mountain Pass Performance. And the other one right behind, I didn't get the number on that car yet, but I think it's another one of the Mountain Pass Performance cars. It's got to be. It's got the logo on the hood. Ben Thorne at a 59.328 on his first lap out. And that's the number 60 car of Hatch.
So
Christopher Hatch.
Sasha had was it a Tesla swap 350 or 370?
Yeah, so that car is going to be one of our Circuit Legends running tomorrow.
Awesome.
An EV swapped Nissan 350Z, I think it is.
Yeah, love that. He's also just a really great tuner out of Canada. So it's kind of cool to see him back in the GridLife arena now that we're on the East Coast.
It really is exciting. There's Ben Thorne driving by. A couple other street class competitors. Alex Artea in the orange and black M3 heading by the shop. Peter Granberg in his brand new K24 swapped BRZ. Just did that swap a couple of months ago and has it set up. And whoops, that's Ben Lynn with the Gears and Gasoline Group. The Advanced Auto Parts logos. And yep, a little smoky down there on pit lane. And our friends from Abbott Auto Performance down there checking it out, making sure they've teched everybody. They do such an incredible job, but they're on pit lane ready to solve anybody's problems and dig the grass out from the grill if you go for an off-track excursion. But there's Ben Thorne in that Falcon Club TR car. This is a car to watch for sure, as you mentioned.
Where's he at now? Yeah, already at 59.3. So that's kind of what I expected. You know, I figure first few sessions, a car like that, super capable of sub 1 minute, probably in the 59s, 58s for now, and maybe a flyer tonight or tomorrow morning, breaking in the 57s like we saw the fastest GLTC cars.
This car, at one point in its history, went around a lot of tracks only driving on 3 wheels because it would pick up the inside rear so much. I think it does that less now, but really the rear wheels are just there to support the rear end from dragging off the ground. The front wheels
there
are
for the
doing
ride.
everything.
Yeah,
exactly. But
tripoding everywhere, and yeah, I remember him saying that the car was hopping a lot, so maybe they added some droop to it and fixed some spring rates, but you can see him coming down the downhill there. I mean, there's a lot of momentum there. He still has a little bit more to track out. There's also a little bit of like a driving secret there where you don't realize it, but coming down that hill, there's actually extra track to the left. So that takes a while to tell your brain that you can actually push the car out to the left past that line. But once people start to utilize that track, you can actually get a little bit of a better run coming through the downhill.
Ben works his way through turn number 3. The left-hander tucks it in nice and tight, now accelerates up towards turn 4. You kind of compromise the exit of 3 to set yourself up for the exit of 4 for the no-name straight.
Right.
Because there's not really a lot of straightaway between 3 and 4. You might as well kind of sacrifice those 2 corners and set yourself up for the straight line run.
Yeah, it's definitely a sacrifice. The car will unsettle there just because it's such a harsh left to right. And you do want that run onto that, they call it the no-name straight because it really barely is a straight. But you can line it up nicely to then get the car to compress into the uphill. Super important section of the track.
Into the downhill for Ben Thorne now from valve leading gears and gasoline and through turn 7 and up onto the front straight again. He will come on through, see if he picks up any time this time through on the start-finish straight. Does not. Oh, there it is, a 59.085. So an improvement for Ben Thorne. Almost into the 58s as we jump back to Chris Hatch in the Mountain Pass Performance Tesla Model 3.
I mean, it's great to see the things out there doing laps, too. Like, you know, the old idea that they couldn't actually stay out for more than a lap or 2. I mean, they're out there. Again, small tracks, so they're going to get plenty of laps in, actually.
And they have a place to charge here at Lime Rock Park. There's a bunch of EV charging stations here, which I drove in. I go, that's cool. I've never really seen that at that number of EV charging stations as Lime Rock has. There's a bunch.
No, it's full support. I mean, I know Charlie, one of the owners here, actually drives a Tesla. He lets us rip it around the proving ground sometimes. But yeah, they've added charging stations because it's not going anywhere, right?
Right. So. Yeah, it certainly isn't. So you might as well future-proof the best you can. One of the cars that we just had an eye on, the 275 car of Macchiato. That's a track-modified car. And I'm trying to find on my entry list. There's a lot of names on this list. We have almost 85 time attack cars here this weekend.
That's great.
Which is a great field for, again, the size of the track that we're running. That's Stephen Macchiato out of St. Albans, New York, for the team First Generation. It's a 1997 Honda Civic, or what's left of it. A lot of aero on that car to set it up for the track-modified class. But performing well so far. P4 and track-modified in this session. And here is a look at another EG Civic, the 247. On track, Huxley behind the wheel, down in 20th overall to 103.132. And the EG Civic is another platform that I've seen used a lot in both GLTC and in time attack because it's such a lightweight chassis to start with. And you throw a B18 in there, or your K-swap, and that thing will haul down a straightaway as well. And there's just not a lot of weight to move around. Simple cars in terms of their geometry as well, so they're easy to work on, easy to set up.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, anything light, simple, with options. Also, when you come to a track and there's probably 3 or 4 other people at least that has your car, so if you need spares or, that's one of the things I envy as an owner of a Mini that no one really else drives, or an engine that no one wants to touch. You're kind of vulnerable, right? You don't have that community at the track that you do with a build like that.
Yeah, certainly. So again, if you're a Honda guy and you're at a GRIDLIFE, you're in good hands.
Yeah, sure you are.
But I think increasingly so, if you're a Tesla guy, you'll have some friends at GRIDLIFE events as well. We've got a handful of them. I know that Jackie Ding ran one last season in street class, and I know that Tony Barber runs one on occasion as well. So there's a lot of people that run those in different categories in TrackBattle, and others that run different platforms. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, is you have everything from Miatas to Corvettes to Porsches and everything in between.
That's my favorite thing to talk about to people when they ask me what GRIDLIFE is. It's just like, it's everything. it's everything. It's a lot different than what else is out there, and I think that's what makes it super special.
Kerr, the 399 Evo, heads up the back straightaway, the no-name straight towards turn number 5 in the uphill. And whoop, over the top, and you can just, I love, you can watch the shadow. You see the big slide there.
Yeah, that was a bit, got a little loose there.
So Track Battle B on course right now as we continue to work our way through the first stream Track Battle session of the weekend. You can follow along with timing and scoring yourself at racehero.io for GridLife Circuit Legends. While we've got cars kind of making their way around, we'll go over what's on the schedule for the rest of the day. So right now we're in Track Battle at the moment. We're going to have Drift up next at, what we got, about 12:50, so about 45 minutes from now. We'll take a very short lunch break before we get into GLTC qualifying, and then into Drift, have a short break for HPDE, and then we'll be back into Track Battle and GLTC and Drift for the rest of the day. So lots of stuff coming up yet. We're just at the start of the weekend.
Yeah, stack day. And I don't know if we really talked about this much, but Lime Rock Park, in that history and where it is, you can't really run here on Sunday. So we do have a little bit of a condensed schedule for Friday, Saturday. But that almost makes it more exciting because like a lot's going on every single day. You got to really enjoy the moment. And, you're not going to see that kind of lingering effect of sometimes Sundays can slow down a little bit. Like this is going to be two really hot and heavy days.
Someone asked me the other day, why couldn't we run EVs on Sunday?
I think that is potentially the future.
That is a cool idea. I thought that's a great idea. Why did no one thought of that? I'm sure it's been thought about and talked about, but I'm sure the tire screeching probably also doesn't help.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's actually the tire screeching that's the problem versus the exhaust sounds. But I think that there's always a way.
There's always a way. Great looking FCP Euro banner over the front straightaway here, heading down into turn one. Big bend, they call it. Peter Granberg heads down there in his K24 swap. Subaru BRZ. That car ran supercharged for a while. I think it was turbocharged for a while. He's put transmissions in it, motors in it, and finally said, you know what, we're going to put Honda engine in it. It'll run forever. Put 350,000 track miles on it. And
that seems like a common remedy, huh?
It does seem. It's not an inexpensive one.
No.
But it is a reliable one. And if Peter were to have an issue with the motor, it's an $800 junkyard engine you can pull out and rebuild. So lots of opportunities with the 86 platform in general. That's another emerging platform we see more and more of as they get a little less expensive on the aftermarket, or the used market, I should say. BRZs, 86s, FRSs, all those cars.
Those are your people, right?
Those are my people. I have one. I'm very familiar with how good the chassis are. I don't track mine enough to really enjoy it that much, but it is a fantastic car, and as they get less and less expensive, it will be a really solid track platform. The later model years, the 2017s through 2020s, had way less engine issues as well. And I know lots of people that have tracked the later model years with no problems at all. So
yeah, that was always the fear initially, right?
That was the initial fear and my anxiety every time I take it anywhere, but that's just me also. So it looks like Track Battle B continues. Looks like Brian Blaine has jumped up to the top of the board in track modified at 58.232. Sasha's Tesla Model 3 at a 58.366. That was faster than all but one GLTC car.
Yeah.
And those are full race prep, roll-caged track cars for the most part. And then we talked about Falcon Club TR. We call it Falcon Club TR because everybody's on the spec Falcon RT660 tire. And those tires are incredibly good and grippy in the dry conditions. I bet Ben Thorne feels like he's stuck on rails right now.
Yeah, I mean, spec or not, there's a reason why a lot of people are running them outside of Club TR. I mean, it's just a great tire overall. We'll see it in GLTC. We'll see it on track mod cars. We'll see it really anywhere that it can be used. I mean, the 200 treadwear tire has become so competitive that it's kind of insane where the technology's come to.
Yeah, there's lots of tire options. There's Brian Blaine, by the way. Yes, that's the fastest car on the racetrack right now, the Mazda RX-7. One time it had an engine issue, and it was shooting perfect little smoke rings out of the exhaust. And there was a great photo of it heading down the pit lane at Gingerman Raceway with just perfect little smoke rings like he was smoking a cigar.
I love it.
It was awesome. Here's a good look at a Honda S2000, car number 488. Fitzgerald behind the wheel. This is not a name that I am familiar with, so he must be new to me. Colin Fitzgerald out of Selden, New York, with Team Pasney. Oh, that's not the right one. Colin is in a Subaru WRX, so there is more than one Fitzgerald here this weekend. I have to wonder if it's a family of Fitzgeralds or if it just happens to be a common name. It probably is the latter. But down the list we go, looking for the Fitzgerald in the S2000.
You'll actually see a lot of people here from New York without realizing necessarily where we are in Connecticut. We are super close to the New York line. So this is as much a home track for, Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island drivers. New York is closer than a lot of those. So we'll see a lot of people actually from that area, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of Pennsylvanians here this weekend. I see a couple Virginias on there, which we've seen at our Midwest events. A lot of Canada as well. We've had a lot of Canadian friends with us here this weekend. as well as a couple New Jerseys. So all the Northeast, I mean, our track battle group, there are so many names I'm not familiar with because of how we were bringing in people from the Northeast region. They're not necessarily having to travel to, Colorado or to Michigan. Or
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, a driver list of 80-something people, a lot of which is their first time being exposed to grid life. Maybe them watching for the last few years and wanted to be involved and finally given the opportunity. So it's pretty awesome.
And one of the things for me is where, like, for people that live in Massachusetts, where would you drive? And I don't think there's a lot of tracks in Massachusetts. Right?
No, there's a track or two in New Hampshire. There is Palmer, which is in Mass, which is it's kind of cool actually as well. It kind of comes through some like granite stone, a little sketchy in terms of like runoff and stuff like that. But no, I mean really, Watkins Glen, Lime Rock Park, and JMP are kind of the normal circuit for people in this area.
So it's glad we can bring the show to them this time. Track Battle C is up next, and I think we should see some of our Falcon Club, our Falcon Sunday Cup competitors on track. Sunday Cup is an emerging class here in Time Attack Track Battle, and it is full of cars. At least it was at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Honda Fits, Mazda 2s, Toyota Yaris's, Mini Coopers.
Yeah, we need more minis out there. We've talked about it a lot at FCP Euro, what to bring out there. We actually have one of our Mercedes guys drives a Fit, and so he's literally bought a Fit just for Sunday Cup. And this is someone, again, from Connecticut, never had even been to an event, but he's just watched from afar and saw how much fun it was. So he's built a Fit for it, which is so cool. I mean, I actually envy the amount of fun it looks like they have out there.
Yeah, well, we should see some of them at the tail end of this group, but there are some other drivers on track that we should take note of. Nate Brown, I just saw roll off in his Volkswagen, so we'll get to talk about him here in a little bit once he trips the timing and scoring loop to start some laps. This is Track Battle Group C. After this, we're going to head into a little bit of a drift show, the first time we've seen drift on track this weekend, so hang tight for that if you're trackside with us. Lunch break, and then it'll be GLTC qualifying, more drift, a little HPDE throughout the afternoon, and then Track Battle, GLTC Race 1, and drift will finish off our day here on Friday, August 19th at Lime Rock Park for GridLife Circuit Legends Festival. Kyle Heyer joined by Ben Morosky for our last morning Track Battle session of the day. And we'll head into our afternoon sessions just after this. And as we work our way through the groups, for A, B, C, they go from fastest to slowest. And at the very bottom, we're going to have our Sunday Cup competitors. That doesn't mean that they're not smiling and having the best time out there on the racetrack. Their lap times might not be the quickest in relation to the other cars, but it is one of our most competitive track battle classes in terms of the spread throughout the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you do it for. Like, if you're competing with no one, it's less fun when you have a pack of cars. Very similarly, I mean, that's why Spec B was fun, right? And that sort of racing even was a thing. Was for that kind of like low cost of entry, hyper competitive, really driver centric, right? Because there's only so much you can do with the cars. I think, again, this track being kind of a small car track in that sense, I think they're going to have a great scrap all weekend.
Yeah, they might be a little bit later in this session, or even into Track Battle Group D, which I think we added a Group D because we had too many cars. So cars on track, mostly street class cars, which there's the rules get more and more restrictive as you step down through the classes from Unlimited all the way down to Sunday Cup. There is a couple Sunday Cup cars, or at least one out there, the 395.
Holding it down for the Sunday.
Getting into Group C. Yeah. So cars on track, Persing, Thossenson, Peterson, Brown, Taggart, Ty. Team NRB, Johnson, Nardone, and Herndon on track, your top 10 as they trip the scoring the first lap through. Jeremy Bailey is on track in his blue FRS, white and blue. And there was some cool stuff out there as well. I didn't get a good look at what just went by the camera there.
I did not see
it. Ben, that was cool. That might be one of the Hard Times cars, by the way. I think that was what that was.
Stuff. So Andrew Johnson's actually another employee of ours at FCP Euro. So he's part of the catalog team, which is responsible for putting the parts on the website, which is kind of cool. He's actually been building this 128i over the last maybe 3 years. He won SCCA autocross, I forget what class he ran in last year, but honestly been developing that car, which is awesome. It's still on the NA N52 engine, which is not the one that everybody knows about, which is the N54 usually, which is a super high horsepower turbo BMW engine. But this is the, I don't know, maybe 4th or 5th time he's ran here, and I know he runs low 1 minute. He's been on the quest for sub 1 minute. That's kind of our talk of the office, right? Who's gone sub 1 minute? It's a little bit of the Gingerman, sub 140 conversation.
Yeah, the 140, and that's at Mid-Ohio too, because the tracks are similar length.
Yeah.
So sub 140 is the magic number to beat a lot of those places.
So I can guarantee you a lot of the people out here this weekend are at least in their head, even if it's not capable. You shoot for that 1 minute mark, that 59.9. and it's a good goal to set.
Certainly. So cars on track right now, the 21 of Tegan Thossenson out of Mars, Pennsylvania for Rad Hangs Racing in a 2011 Subaru Impreza. There's Nate Brown, by the way. Given a point by, there's Darian Taggart from ASM heading down into turn number 1. That's that blue and red S2000 in Big Bend right now. Taggart, big autocrosser, has run this S2000 a whole bunch in the autocross world and is now tracking this car in Falcon Club TR.
They have that car so figured out, huh?
ASM just has, they know everything. They could turn it into an unlimited car and probably win this series. Their GLTC cars are basically the quality of factory GT cars. And, and Tom O'Gorman told me that his car at Autobahn was expletive phenomenal before he went on track. And I go, that was a bad thing to tell everybody, because you know what happened? He won all 4 races that weekend. And the one would win 4 more after that. And they figured out the S2000, especially the K-Swap S2000. They've got that totally done.
I mean, I think it's great to have that benchmark, though, honestly, like for other teams, for other individuals to look at. As you know, that's the bar, and that's where you got to get to be at the pointy end. I actually think it's really good for the series to kind of have that, and just to see the way they've scaled. Honestly, like we've seen an ASM car in almost every session in some form, which is pretty cool.
So here, this is fantastic. That is car number 365, and that car is William Washburn out of Walpole, Massachusetts. You probably know more about this car than I do.
I don't. I wish I did. I'm probably going to get yelled at work for not knowing about it, but I'm like the worst with older BMWs. Past like an E30, E36, it's not a 3 Series. I'm absolutely trash.
Yeah, if you're not looking at the Jumbotron trackside with us, it's the green BMW. It's a 1976 BMW. With Team 240 RS Maxi, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And this is the perfect example of a circuit legend, and what this event is all about. It's celebrating motorsports from the 1970s to now, basically. And this is a 76. This is one of the older cars in terms of the circuit legends that we're representing here this weekend. But
I love that it's out here and actually doing track battle. Like it's not, you know, it's not just looking the part, which it definitely is, but it sounds right, and it's out here just turning lap after lap.
There will be a lot of cars here this weekend that are circuit legends that will not be on the circuit, and this is a real true circuit legend, still on the racetrack 40 years later and competing in
hitting the brakes at the 2 marker. I mean, come on, like
it's great.
What else do you want?
Got the classic pinstriping on the side. It is a gorgeous car. I got to talk to William later and get the story on this, but it really is a fantastic looking automobile.
All the cooling on the flares, everything about it.
You know, we're having a car show, but I think the car show is on the racetrack, at least for this guy.
It's definitely something to watch.
But 1976 BMW. This is in stark contrast to the later gen Subaru WRX that's ahead of him, or the S2000 that's behind him. But up and over the crest at the uphill again over turn 5, and it almost reminds me of rallying when you come up over that crest, and there's all those shots of the Audi, Quattro cars coming up over the hills.
All that droop, airborne, the legs fully extended, essentially.
Yeah, it is really, really neat to see that car on track.
I mean, it does give you kind of goosebumps when you think about, imagine the day when there was a pack of these cars coming down that same downhill here at Lime Rock Park. You know, this track's been here for so long that, like, it feels right, you know what I mean?
Lime Rock Park was younger than me when that car was built,
yes.
which is pretty cool. I'm only 24. That track would have been 20 years old when that car was built, so really cool. There's Tegan Thossenson, by the way, heading into the left-hander right now, the number 21 Subaru. And Tegan out of Mars, Pennsylvania for Rad Hangs Racing. It's an easy car to spot with the purple and metallic coloration on the side, the big Rad Hangs logo on the door.
They're in a 1:01.8 already, so finding pace.
Quick lap.
Quicker than some of the cars in the previous session even, so.
And again, street cars are a lot more limited in terms of their tire, the aero, the engine modifications, so you can't go too crazy. That's why we're seeing lap times drop out of the sub 1 minute range, but this is still incredibly quick for this kind of car with the mods that this car has. Nick Babin, by the way, on track, the 464 car. Nick is a driver I know from our GRIDLIFE iRacers community, and Nick is here for the first time running with us at Lime Rock. He was with us, I think, at NJMP as well.
Well, that's what I was telling someone this morning, that although not every driver has driven their real car here, there's been a ton of iRacing that you guys have done at Lime Rock Park. It's in basically any simulator, any game. So not always a one-to-one translation, but still people have seat time. They've had some time to try things out and see what feels right and see definitely what feels wrong.
And forgive me for forgetting his name, but I met a gentleman that works here at the racetrack that was actually part of the scanning process. He used to work for iRacing, and is part of the scanning process of this track that we're running up at the arcade here in the simulator. So really, really neat stuff. There again is William Washburn at 365. Just jumped up to a 102.896. That car is competing in the track modified class, so might be a little bit outclassed in terms of the other cars in that category, but still enjoying it.
It's been about 40, 50 years of development since then.
It certainly is neat. But I was talking about Nick Babin out of Jersey City. He's got a 2016 Mazda MX-5. Big decals on the side. Should be pretty easy to spot when it's on track. I haven't seen it yet in the session, but I know he has run a lap or two so far. A couple S2000s on track. Another car that we'll talk about in our Circuit Legends shootout. Mercedes, is that a GLA out there?
It is, and it's amazing. And the irony that he's parked across from us in our 190E project. So that's the actual engine that we use for our old 190E, which was, I think, in '89, and now we put that GLA engine into there, and it's super quick, and it's one of those cars that I've always seen, just no one's really taken it to the track utilization standpoint, but it's a cool Euro hot hatch that has a ton of power, looks good, sounds good. I mean, it's a turbocharged, 4-cylinder engine, but still AMG. You know, there's definitely some engineering behind that thing to make it as quick as it is.
Yeah, it certainly packs a big punch. We did see one of the Falcon Sunday Cup competitors out there, Michael Ross Smith in the 395, came over the crest full song. That car didn't quite get airborne. I don't think it's got the power to do that, but he was full on sideways for a second. That is the Honda Fit at the back of this shot, just behind the Mercedes GLA, which is awesome looking into turn one. There is Smith right now. There's the GLA, and there he is, past the
I like that camera work there.
Just panning. There he is, got him. And this is an example of our Sunday Cup car. Now, we're going to have a whole lot more of these in the next session. But this is a great example.
I mean, he's hauling. If he's doing a 105.4, what do those actually make for power?
Barely 100, maybe 100. I think the highest we've seen is like 105.
I mean,
power level.
And that's why we were talking about how time is kind of stretched and shrunk at this track, where it's like, that's even being 5 seconds off of a minute, like that's the equivalent of 10, 15 seconds at a larger track.
Watch him up on the uphill here. You are not lifting probably anywhere after turn 4.
No, his braking is fully probably compression into the uphill. That's him slowing down. And same thing coming through West Penn and down into the downhill.
I'm not even convinced you're braking a lot in the Honda Fit going into turn 1 at all. You might jump off and touch him just a little bit. You're only probably doing 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're probably setting up the nose and getting the car to turn in a bit, but I'd be very curious, actually. Now I just want to go drive one. I just want to go build a base mini.
We'll get you in there. There's plenty of drivers that'll offer you a chance at it, but Smith's route, turn 1, big bend here again. And heading up towards the left-hander. Darian Taggart has jumped to the top of the board, by the way.
Little wheel off there. He's using all the track, which is honestly what you need to do there coming out of Big Bend.
Into the left-hander, tucks it in. It's been very tidy so far. Touches the curb there at the inside of 4, and all the track again at the exit.
And then you use straighten up No Name here. And I want to see what it does on the uphill. I wish we could see his brakes to see if he taps them or not, but
I don't think he would touch him. He's just
full
throttle
a little bit
over the crest, using a little bit of the runoff.
Yep.
Getting after it. We'll have more of those cars. We had a 20-car Sunday Cup field at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and it was incredibly competitive. And you don't have to run a Honda Fit. You can run a Mazda 2, a Toyota Yaris, any variety of cars that are in that power-to-weight range. 25-1, I think, is what it is.
Love it.
Which is great. 25 pounds
if he
per.
puts down a flyer here.
Yep.
If it was...
105.34 was his best previously. He has not gone quicker. As we get a look at the Mercedes GLA that is on track right now. Didn't get a look at the number on that car. But there it is. It is Devin Herndon out of Locust Grove, Virginia, in a 2016 Mercedes GLA class car. This is an all-wheel drive car in street class. And if you have an excuse as to why you can't drive your daily on the racetrack, you don't have an excuse.
No, it's gone now.
It's gone because we've seen a lot of things on the racetrack, but I love seeing crossovers and SUVs. When they do hit the racetrack, it is cool to watch.
No, it is. I feel like the Europeans would like the fact that because we don't get a lot of the cool hatches that we're at least trying to put these things on the track.
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't really count as a cross. It's probably more just a hatchback, but it has the
called a crosshatch.
A crosshatch. That's probably a good word for it. Time Attack Group C continues. Benson Ty jumped up to the top in the number 53 car. That is a PhD Racing Honda S2000 out of Newton, Massachusetts in Falcon Club TR. And the Toyota Celica just ahead is a driver that we've seen plenty of times in Time Attack. But they've switched out. I don't want to even say the name because they switch out drivers so much. I feel like I'm going to be wrong.
Wrong person. I know that Nathan Brown and Andrew Johnson, both, again, coworkers, are going to be slightly frustrated with their 102s. I know they've both gone faster in their cars, so I'm curious what they're going to say to me after I go up to them after this session and see how the car's feeling, see how the track's feeling. But again, that's why I think we're actually going to see times drop overall over the weekend, just knowing those as a benchmark. capable of 1 minutes and 101s. So I think we're going to see everybody shift, 1 to 2 seconds as they kind of drive throughout the weekend.
I think we'll see that as well. So checkered flag here for Group C. We'll cover a little bit of Time Attack Group D before taking a short break and moving into our drift coverage for the morning. And if you've never seen drift before, and this is, you've been to Lime Rock a whole bunch of times and never seen drift, you're in for a show.
And that's a reason, because that's why this is an extremely big deal. I mean, there's a lot of firsts this weekend, I guess you could say. And drift being here at Lime Rock Park on the main track is a pretty big deal for the whole region. I mean, that was the amount of times we had customers coming in or just people hitting us up on social and asking if this is really happening. It's going to be special seeing these cars out here. We got to do one lap with ESSA about a month and a half ago to try and get some footage during a lunch break, and that was like the whole place just stopped and watched because it just doesn't happen here. They actually thought something was going wrong on the track, like fire and safety came up because they were concerned because they're like, usually when we hear that much,
squealing?
Yeah, it's not a good thing. So I can't wait to see that here.
It will be quite the show, and that's coming up at about 12:50. So just about 25 minutes from now, for the first time in a very long time, we're going to see drift at Lime Rock Park. Kyle Heyer joined by Ben Morosky here, just finishing up Time Attack coverage for the morning. Drift is up after our Group D session, and then we'll take a very short break, get into GLTC qualifying, and carry you through the rest of the day, alternating between TrackBattle, GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, and drift until about 6 o'clock this evening. If you're here at the racetrack with us, we're going to have the arcade. The arcade is open right now, by the way, up at the top of the hill by turn 4. We have an esports competition at 8 o'clock p.m. tonight, so make sure you make it there and check that out. We'll be running iRacing at Lime Rock Park, of all places.
Who knew?
You might have heard of that track before, so that'll be a lot of fun. If you're joining us on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, thanks for joining us here on GRIDLIFE Live. We're going to take a very, very short break. We'll be back in just a minute. Back live from Lime Rock Park and GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends Festival. For the first time, GRIDLIFE visits the beautiful little racetrack in Lakeville, Connecticut. 1.5 miles, 7-turn road course that's been here since 1956. It fundamentally hasn't changed a lot, but it has changed today because we bring some new things to the weekend. We've brought GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, our fast-growing wheel-to-wheel touring car series. Drift, as we just mentioned, Ben. We've got TrackBattle here, and hoping that we can plant a seed to bring this event back every single year, because it is a really neat place for us and for you guys to have us here. I'm sure this is just going to be a fantastic event all weekend long.
No, it is. I'm already thinking of next year, seeing as I have to leave here in about an hour and going to miss the entire weekend. So I'm going to be watching from afar. So I'll be with everybody on stream, probably on my phone, just seeing what I'm missing out on, because it's chalking up to be an absolutely epic weekend. And honestly, weather-wise, it's perfect. We're already, like, you're looking at the paddock here, everything's packed, people are here, and it's Friday, right? So it's a work day. So I think tomorrow is going to be, outrageous. And then we've got our Sunday motoring meet on Sunday, which we usually get about 1,000 to 1,500 people here just to hang out and enjoy the scenery, enjoy cars. So, yeah, it's exciting.
All right, so we're on track now with Time Attack Group D. We have a couple minutes of coverage for you, including coverage of Falcon Sunday Cup, one of our most beloved Time Attack classes. And there was some dramas around Sunday Cup not being true Time Attack. Disagree, Ben.
Saw that. Also disagree. It was a little spicy and actually got me, like, fired up in a good way, where I was like, now I want to be a part of it.
Because here's the thing, Time Attack isn't about, there's a portion that's about the car, but let's be honest, Time Attack is a style of competition that involves running competitive lap times against other people on a racetrack.
Yep.
And that's what it is. I don't care if you're racing a lawnmower out there. If you have a lawnmower class and you want to go out there and run a Lime Rock Park,
Time Attack.
Let's do it. Ian, the track IT guy, he's got a little trike that's got electric motor on. Let's put him out there too.
Run him.
Run him an unlimited class.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's the spirit of competition and running lap times competitively against other people. That's what Time Attack is all about. And I say that Sunday Cup is two things. It's a great entry level into TrackBattle because it's not that expensive.
Yep.
And it's also a great catch net for when you spend $150,000 on your WRX and you can't keep it from blowing up and you're tired of spending money. Go run Sunday Cup because you have the same intense level of competition, probably even more so.
Yeah.
And you don't have to spend, $50 grand on your car.
Yep.
And these cars are, you don't spend a lot of money on brakes. You don't spend a lot of money on tires. It's all about track time and running extremely quick laps in a car that is not extremely quick. And they always say that slow car fast is, that's harder to do than it is to drive a fast car slow, which is what most people probably are doing if they haven't had experience in a car that doesn't have a lot of power.
Yeah, I mean, people always ask, for driver coaching or what to do or what they should do to the car. And it's like seat time. Like seat time, you cannot replace seat time with anything but seat time. And I feel like that's what Sunday Cup offers. And admittedly, being one of those people who had maybe overbuilt a car or lost where my car had started, I've said I miss simpler days. I miss when it was like a basic build and I could just put lap after lap after lap, and then really all I wanted to do was have people to compete with. So this is back in the day of street mod being drivetrain oriented. So having a group of front wheel drive cars that I could compete and compare myself to, that's all I wanted to do. I knew that I couldn't beat some of the faster all wheel drive cars or rear wheel drive cars, but it's about that tight pack, that that competitive spirit. And I know it's a whole community too, right? These guys all help each other in the paddock, which is even better.
There's a lot of scope creep in time attack just by the nature of what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a car that is going to beat everybody else. You're trying to get yourself better. And you might spend at the higher levels, working your way up through the classes if that's what you choose to do. You might spend 50 hours a week building a car, and then if you're not the fastest car, it's game over. But in Sunday Cup, there's not a lot of scope creep. You have a lot of examples of drivers that spend no time working on their car, and they're just running laps, and that's the purity of this. But right now, all the pink on your screen, those are your Falcon Sunday Cup competitors. Kyle Carson's is on track in the 411. Anthony Novelli with the HTR car runs in second, I guess third, because we had Michael Ross Smith in the other session.
And he was doing 1:0, so we have a benchmark. He was doing a 1:05.3, I think.
Yep. It looks like Matt Williams in the number 129 car is running a 1:06.1. So that's why there's that group split, as Smith was a little bit quicker. Jacob Abbott is on track as well. He's one of the Abbott Auto Performance guys in his Honda Fit. And there are more cars and drivers in this list than I was expecting this weekend, which is great news. The 301 car on track, Stuart Storm out of Middletown, Maryland, is in a 2010 Honda Fit. Daniel Malloy in the 801 car, he is here on track out of Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. We've got number 400 car, that is Logan Manning out of Hopewell Junction, New York, in a 2017 Honda Fit. We've got Eric Volkley in the 725 car. Eric is out of Hamburg, New York, with Lancaster Sports Car. So
I mean, if that doesn't speak to this community, then what does, right? So this group has probably either been a part of the fit group from afar or watched what GRIDLIFE's been doing, and I mean, maybe it's not. Are those all new people?
There's some new people.
Some overlap there.
I know that Stuart Storm is new. I know Manning, I think, is new. Volkley's been around. Abbott's been around. Novelli's been around. Yeah. But some of these guys have traveled from 15 hours away to be here. So that's also really cool. And we were just watching Anthony Novelli. Matt Williams is on track, by the way, in a blue Honda Fit, the number 129. But this car steals my heart. Look at this. This is through Big Bend right now. There's an old-fashioned looking Valvoline Acura Integra.
It looks right, even the old logo.
And that is the number 405 of David Pratt with Speed Academy out of Hamilton, Ontario, with a period-correct Valvoline livery and a little wide there at the exit of 4.
A little broadcasting, a little point fly through the grass.
But this is such a cool-looking car. I love the period-correct stickers on it.
Yes.
Really unique.
Proper throwback, yeah.
And again, the
commentator curse there.
I know, it always happens. But David's getting the most out of it, trying to at least. Jerry Lou's on track, by the way. I think that's that yellow Toyota Supra. That is a street modified car. That will probably sort itself out into a different run group later here in the weekend. But all the fits on track right now, having the most fun of anybody. Abbott, Storm, Malloy, Manning, Volkley, Carsons, Williams, Novelli, and more.
Good bump trap track coming down the downhill, too. I will say that. I would expect to see some trains here throughout the weekend with these cars pushing each other.
We saw that at Mid-Ohio. They lined up in a line and just ran nose to tail, all the fits there. So really cool to watch. There's Jerry Lou, by the way. This is a PhD racing car. And they have done a lot with the Toyota Supra platform. This is, again, a vehicle that's relatively new to the track world. It's, what's the newest model year, or the oldest model year, 2020, 2019? Yeah. So they have torn one almost down. They built Jackie Ding's street modified car. That thing makes 650 wheel, but they've also run a whole bunch of them. PhD has in Street GT.
They're all squatted up across from us, and it actually looks awesome just seeing a squad of Supras sitting there.
And they've discovered that B58 engine that was co-developed, BMW sourced, Toyota approved, and that engine is extremely strong and extremely reliable. I think the only gremlins that Jackie ever had with that car initially were the electronics were a little invasive, but I think they've sorted that out by this
Yeah,
time.
it's been around long enough now, and people are, I mean, the B58 is an amazing platform. It's actually what's in our F30 drift car. Extremely stout from the factory. And it's exciting to see. I'm expecting to see that engine in a bunch of other stuff just based on all the super development. But yeah, it's great to see how. I mean, Jackie's car is basically a GT4 Supra at this point, if not faster or more developed even.
Running times that are almost competitive with GT4 times as well. So that's really, really cool. Cool to see, and that was kind of his benchmark, if I remember, a couple of years ago, before the car got really insane. His benchmark was, I'm shooting for GT4 lap times. Yeah, I have more power, but the car's heavier. It's got some disadvantages compared to the true race car, the Supra, GR Supra GT4. So,
and what does he run for tires? Is it?
I think he's got an
track mod. Is it? Okay.
So he's in street modified.
Oh, he's in street.
Yep. But yeah, Jackie is a very capable driver and a very capable platform. So Time Attack continues here at GridLife Circuit Legends Festival. Up next in about 15 minutes is GridLife Drift. So you're going to see that for the first time ever in about 15 minutes. We'll have a handful of those sessions throughout the weekend. And then it'll be a short lunch break. We'll be back with GridLife Touring Cup qualifying after that. But there is a look at, is that the 450 car? There's the 96 car on course right now. That's Hennigan on course in the Falcon Club TR class. But I think we're going to step away for a few minutes, get prepped for Drift. We'll be back in a few with the remainder of GridLife Live. And GridLife Drift is up next at 12:50. We'll see you then.
Cannot wait.
Circuit Legends is brought to you by Pilot, the official logistics partner of GridLife Circuit Legends. And by Falcon Tires. The Falcon Azenis RT660 is the official tire of Club TR. And by eBay Motors. Let's ride. And by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. And by Momo, made in Italy since 1964.
At 303, we're always chasing perfection. Protect your ride with graphene nanospray coating. Now, boost protection, shine, and slickness with Graphene Detailer. Level up your detailing game. Harness the power of graphene with 303.
Ooh. Call Logano. Hey, Joey, you can save money if you fill up at Shell if you use Advanced Auto Parts Speed Perks.
Dude, I'm way ahead of you.
You saved at the pump?
Yeah, I saved at the pump.
The pump?
The pump.
He saved at the pump!
Woo! Now you can save at the pump when you shop at Advance Auto Parts. Learn more at advanceautoparts.com/gas rewards.
Now, it's my turn.
The more power you have, the more grip you have, the more you push the limits, the more stopping power you need. Get race-proven technology. Hawk Performance.
We still on this weekend for a little?
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting. Yeah, dun, da, da. The wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. Stable 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
We've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
For the first time ever, Drift visits Lime Rock Park. Welcome back to GRIDLIFE Circuit Legends from Lime Rock Park in Lakeville, Connecticut. Kyle Heyer, joined by Kato from the Stream Team here with me.
Hi.
For Drift for the first time this weekend. Kato, welcome.
Hell yeah.
This is going to be a blast. I can't wait. This is such a cool racetrack for TrackBattle and GLTC, but this is the first time Drift has ever been here.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing is I think you said it's 65 years or something since they've ever had a slidey event. But this track has so much history online. I'm talking like Forza 2, Forza 3. Just this and Hockenheim were two of the smallest tracks, and this is where you would build your 700 or 800 horsepower plus cars and just link the whole thing with your friends and get the tandem trains going back in the early days. So it's going to be exciting to see some real cars, some real drifting, burn some real tires.
I can't wait for it. Your car's on track. There is the FCP Euro BMW and a whole lot more.
That's Michael Essa leading the pack right there. Don't recognize the other cars yet, but I think that S14 makes a lot of power, so we should see some good smoke from that guy as well.
We have 40-plus drifters going to head on the racetrack. So right now, we're just going to go out and get a sighting lap right now to see where the track goes, because they haven't been on track yet this weekend.
Yeah.
So they need to know where the track goes and what's left, what's right. Mostly rights here, Kato, but they're going to be sliding the whole time anyway.
Yeah. I was talking to Essa yesterday when we were setting up, and he said in his pro-level car, I think it's 800-plus horsepower, he can link the whole track, but you go through a set of tires instantly. So you don't even go around for 2 laps. It's just 1 lap. So hopefully these guys will be able to link this section that we're looking at here. We have Josh Hobo Heron from Keep Drifting Fun running this camera. Hopefully we will be able to see turn 1 linked through turn 2, or is that 3? Oh, and then, give us a good show.
Excited to watch it here. So if you're trackside with us here at Lime Rock Park, find the trackside fence nearest you and get up alongside it, because you're going to see some really cool stuff. Even the uphill, are they going to drift the uphill, you think?
There's a good chance.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
If they haven't done it before, then why not try?
Why not try? So the uphill, you get airborne in a fast time attack car. You probably get airborne in a drift car, too. Sideways in the air, smoke pluming.
They have less arrows and just as much power. So we could definitely see some launching happening.
Oftentimes more power.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. Nick Swan helping organize the drifting here this weekend. So hi to Nick on pit lane. Thanks for organizing it. Mike Cohn as well. And thanks again to our track team here this weekend, Charlie Enslin and all the guys that worked hard to get this set up this weekend. But I can't wait. Drift is always a lot of fun, and I had Andrew Cardinale with me at Autobahn. That was the last time that we had Drift. It's been a couple months since we've seen Drift on track, so this should be a good refresher.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Collins on track in the ASM car?
We rarely get to see any of the East Coast drifters because there aren't a lot of publicized events here. Classically, there's like East Coast Bash was a huge one where we saw like Drift Alliance and we saw like Chris Forsberg, Vonnegut Jr., all those guys running those events, Bloodmasters. I think Final Bout started to come here a couple years ago to Canaan, just up the way a couple miles. But we rarely get to see these guys. They have to drive so far to do anything. And so to get some screen time for them, to see what they're capable of, it's going to be awesome.
So just a reminder for those that are new to GRIDLIFE Drift, not competitive. There's no scoring or anything against this, but it's basically a free open track for drifting. So there's no scoring, but you're going to see a lot of tandems. You might see teams trying to link 3, 4, 5 cars together and go side by side off into a corner.
Yep.
Maybe we'll see someone try a reverse entry. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I asked Essay about that too. First thing is like, what's your entry speed coming into turn 1? And he said 90-plus miles an hour.
Okay, cool.
He's done up to 120 into there, and I was like, backies?
Casually spin it around backwards.
Yeah.
Right? Clutch kick it and send it, bro. Right?
Yeah. That's the fun thing, too, is the span of cars that we're going to see here are ranging from, like, just over 100 horsepower, like stock K24s, up to the Pro 800, 900-plus V8 turbo, NOS, everything. So they're going to be driving together for the most part, too. So we'll see who adapts to whose line, who goes crazy on someone else, what tandems really go down. I think there's a couple of teams here that will likely see tandem together. But it's just a crapshoot, and that's kind of the magic of it.
It is a lot of fun to watch, especially if you get some smoke on you and things. And Team Nightcall is here. They've got a handful of drivers here. Nacho Cheese, Front Street Drift has a bunch of cars, so they're going to probably go out together in a group nose to tail. And there's a lot of trust involved with that when you're on track drifting, but the teams, they get so close, they don't even need to see out the windshield. I've ridden with Forsberg before. It's a wild ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the windshield's useless. It could be blacked out.
It could be.
Once you've initiated
you're looking
at
out
least.
the door anyway.
Yeah.
If you're looking.
Yeah.
They could probably do it with their eyes closed at this stage. But
you've got this list going here of all the drivers. So many S13s, so many S14s. It's beautiful to see. I feel like we're in like 2012
so
again.
What is it about that car in particular that makes it so popular? Because there's like literally 3/4 of the drift list is 240 SX.
So in the early 2000s, they were a dime a dozen. Rear-wheel drive, dirt cheap, and they had the Japanese influence, the Japanese style. You could get so much parts for it, so many part support, and like body kits, like all that stuff. And like again, you would get one for like under $1,000 clapped out, or like a clean one for like $5,000 to $6,000. Weld the diff, perfect drift car.
Awesome. Well, we see lots of them. There is one over stuck at the outside of turn. The entrance to turn 3, the left-hander, so it went out and immediately had a problem. So good thing parts are cheap.
Yeah. Well, that car in particular is a R34 Skyline,
well,
so
well, that's not going to be so cheap.
Yeah, he's on his own on that one.
So here's a fun fact for the sim racers. You mentioned, Assetto Corsa and Forza and all those things.
Yeah.
This tow truck that we're looking at in turn 3, this is in the iRacing laser scan of this track. I kid you not. I saw this driving through the paddock the other day, and I go, I've seen this before. I looked up. In iRacing, it's sitting in turn 1 on the laser scan.
That's amazing.
It's so cool. That specific truck.
Wow.
It's so cool.
Iconic. Bring a trailer, that truck, 50
Dude,
grand.
I would pay 50 grand for it.
Easy. I like in this shot, you can see in the background, there's a nice Zenki S14 back there, too. A shame to not see that thing on the track. I'm sure he's got his reasons, but some beautiful cars for sure.
Just walking through the infield this weekend, there's going to be a lot of cars that are not on track that are gorgeous, a lot of cars that are on track that are gorgeous, some on track that are not but are still cool. And there's just, you can't really go 100 yards around here without walking into something that you've wanted to see for 15 years.
I feel like to use the term barn find is wrong because all these cars are beautiful, but it's like all these guys, there's so much space here. You can have your barn and it can look all shitty, but your car will be beautiful. And they're like, now's my time to shine. Grid life. People actually care about this. Let's go. Oh, whoa.
Suspension damage there on the left front at least for that.
That's interesting because I didn't hear any motor sounds yet. So
no, yeah, it could have, I don't know. I mean, it could have just been something that was about to break and they didn't catch it yet, or maybe touched a curb or something, but it is wibbling and wobbling around.
Yeah, that's really loose. Get that checked out for sure.
So you're going to pull that car behind the safety barrier there, and then we should be able to turn everybody loose and send them for about 15 to 20 minutes. And, again, they're going to be working up to this probably. At least the pros will go out there and send it. But some of the guys that are new to the – well, they're all new to the racetrack, but some that aren't super comfortable yet are not going to go into turn 1 at 95 miles an hour quite yet. They might. I mean, we'll see how it goes for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the fun of it, too, is watching the progression. Because you can see in their driving – the driver's getting more aggressive, the driver's getting more comfortable, they'll get more angle, they'll get more wheel speed, they'll be able to link stuff further, and who's going to do it first? Who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah, so I think in particular, turns 1 through 4, so basically big bend all the way through left-hander and then onto the no-name straight. That's really going to be your link zone, and you'll be able to kind of stitch it all together through there. Once you hit no-name straight and head into the uphill, that's when things get a little further apart.
Right.
You could probably manji it all the way down there and then do it again, but I'm not sure that you'd want to. Yeah, you're going to burn up tires so fast.
Exactly. In the interest of saving tires, just having this one fast section to focus on. I think all the cameras are up here, too, so if you want that screen time, this is where you'll be at.
If you're beside the Jumbotron at the racetrack or you're watching online, you're going to see 40 drift cars lined up here. What a photo op this is.
This is mental. Legends. We got Larry Chen up front right there with his cameras ready to go, too, so that's a good sight to see. We'll get some excellent media from him on Instagram. Pros off the line. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
That camera's gone. Let's go to this camera.
We've lost him. So you'll see that Super out there with that camera loaded on the hood. That's not going to be drifting. That'll just be following people, getting those 6 shots that you see on the GridLife Instagram.
Oh, here we go. We got him back.
All right.
The funny thing is that's a borrowed car. Like, people are just giving Larry their cars so that he can go shoot them. But let's see what Essa could put down right here. Oh, more cars coming off the line.
Turning them loose now as we head up towards Big Bend. And Michael Essa sideways and flying.
Hell yeah. Beautiful sight to see. Lots of billowing smoke. Linking, so this is 2 right here, right? So linking into 2, nice and easy. Larry's getting those shots. That's beautiful, excellent, super smooth. Gonna come in tight here. See, I'm sure he's gonna build up angle through the weekend there.
Get some more angle on it and just carry it all the way down. Now it's down the no-name straight, just full throttling it here. Then he'll set up for the uphill potentially, but we'll see if he'll link that together a little later. But everyone just learning right now.
Oh yeah, and this looks like a really high-speed track. It has a lot of banking, so they're going to need a lot more like physical car speed than they realize. Because you notice that turn 2, it's actually banked a lot. In drifting, that affects how you're throwing the car in significantly. And like in grip, you kind of just feel the car stick more, but in drifting, it's going to pitch your car in a lot quicker. So you need more power, counter steering a little more, try to go a little wider. See, right there, that's what they're going to have a little struggling with. I hope Lime Rock was prepared for this. There's going to be plenty of 2-4 wheels off the whole week.
Yeah, I hope they've got some sod bags or grass seed in the warehouse somewhere.
They need that like NFL style, like just roll out the grass and put it right down.
Or they might just end up replacing the whole thing with AstroTurf after this.
Yeah, JZX100 going off the line here, followed by S15. You never see this, not America. And then some E30s. What the hell? Oh, Turk's in that red. FRS, I guess. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, that's. I think it was his old comp car.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. That one is. It looks like the one that has the Ferrari motor, but no, it's not that one. I think it's either a 2J or some type of V6 machine. It looks like everyone's shutting it down. There might be another accident. Oh, Turk's still going for it.
Yep, sitting behind Pete Collins in the ASM BMW. Yep. Right ahead is
there we go.
Robert Thorne's ASM car, and here they go. Here goes Turk.
Hell yeah. Pouring on the smoke. You can see the front wheel was smoking a little bit too. He's got some left foot braking on there to keep the wheel speed up and pitch the car in at the same time.
I can smell already the rubber.
It's starting to waft in.
We're down in the paddock. You can already smell it. What an experience this is.
It's not a drift event without the smell of burning rubber. Like it's got to take a couple of years off your life, cancer and everything, but it's worth it.
It is. Up over the hill. No one's tried drifting the uphill yet.
Yeah, it's sketchy, I'll be honest. But I really want to see these guys go off. Another S15. That JZX80 in the back there is beautiful. There's a couple of Crestas right there, too, that look sick. Let's see, this guy.
350Z through the left-hander now.
Beautiful. This chassis and the IC100 are right now what the S13 was like 20 years ago. Like, this is the car that you can get cheap, you can weld the diff, and you can go drive immediately.
Yeah, I think we see that also with the FRS BRZ. As those cars start to get older, they're getting cheaper and cheaper. You start seeing more of those now also. Turk's car is probably an early example of what we'll see a lot more of a couple years from now.
100%. This thing is built really nice, too. This must be like a pro spec build. He's got a lot of angle, a lot of smoke. Damn, this guy's killing it.
He is killing it right now.
Yeah.
All the way out.
Ooh,
wow, that's
nice.
tight.
Oh, see, there's that left foot braking right there. Hell yeah.
And there's so much footwork involved in this. Your feet are flying, clutch kicking, grab and brake, grab and throttle. You're hitting all the pedals.
I wish we could have the in-car foot cam on the live stream because especially like Turk and these guys, they're just dancing the whole time. Like all that power, if you have a V8 or something with a lot of torque, it smooths out. But when you're dancing with like a 2J or something, you're really managing every input constantly.
Turk again.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Just right tucked up against that line.
Oh, yeah. Smoke coming out of the fender holes. I love when that happens. It's
so cool.
Delightful.
Finds every crack and crevice.
Crap.
Look at all the smoke.
Yeah, that's insane. He's literally just standing on the brake pedal through that. That's crazy.
And even after he stops, there's still smoke bellowing out from the rest of the car.
Yeah. You can tell, too, when they do that much left foot braking, they're really trying to put a show on. They're really just trying to pump all the power, all the smoke, all the sounds, because they're still trying to control the car, not crash, and just give the people what they want.
The good news is there's lots of grass around here. So, well, bad news for the track staff, they'll have to replace it. But there's a lot of runoff before you end up having to hit anything. So, unlike our Alpine Horizon Festival, where we go right up against the concrete, that's a fun one out there, too. We'll be there next month.
Yeah, that's going to be so many good drivers come out for that one. It's so much fun to watch. That's one of my favorites for sure, Alpine Horizons. It's one you don't expect a lot, or initially I didn't expect a lot, being that it's an infield of an oval. But the track design and the people that show up, all the personalities that come, it's like one of the top tier events for sure.
Yeah, it was a sellout event, or close to it last year, and I'm expecting something similar this year, and in this event too. This has been a really cool experience so far. Circuit Legends at GRIDLIFE and at Lime Rock Park, and
let's see. I think these are the Front Street guys here. This JZX80 is a beautiful, beautiful example. We don't see a lot of these on the West Coast for some reason. I think it just is because California, like registration stuff is a nightmare. But all the JZXs, 80s, 90s, 100s, I can't wait for the 100s and the 110s to become more legal and start to popularize American drifting more, because they're beautiful cars to watch drifting, super fun to drive, so much style in that car. These things are what the E92, it looks like it's a V8 swap. It might be a LS. this is like the super popular build right now if you're doing like a pro spec style or want to get into Formula D. But this is again an example of like we're seeing that right behind a JZX80. Those are two cars you'd never really see on track at the same time anywhere else.
Right, and I think that's the beauty of not having the competitive part that you might see in Formula D, for example. I love watching Formula D; it's great, but you don't necessarily see the matchups that you might see on track here at GRIDLIFE because you're not running for points or anything. So it's just all for fun.
Yeah, 100%. Ooh, factions out here. Oh, this car is beautiful. These guys run at Final Bout as well. Excellent cars every time. They might be going out to Final Bout in Shawano. I think next week is Final Bout 5. I'd love to see them out there, but he's doing great right now out here. That car is like a pinnacle representation of like peak style for S13. Even having to import all the Silvia front end to get all that stuff is so expensive now. And drifting with bricks is the twin bulb looking style headlights. Those like 10 years ago were like $1,000 a pair for our OEM headlights. I can't imagine what the prices even are now. And another JZX here. You can see like this is a lower horsepower car. They're struggling in that banked high-speed corner. The paint on this car is immaculate.
Can't quite get the angle out of it just yet, but they'll get there. You just got to chuck it in a little more sideways, a little more entry speed. And
once you get more confident too, you'll start grabbing more gears. So he may have been in like top of second or maybe somewhere in third, and that may be a fourth gear corner. And so once you're more confident, start getting up to third, start getting up to fourth, build that wheel speed. You'll see some crazy driving.
And a couple cars sitting on the pit lane waiting to head out here for the rest of the session, but hopefully everyone trackside getting the view that they've never seen before here at Lime Rock.
I think this is a Mark II JZX 100 right here. This thing's beautiful as well. I love these cars. All the big body sedans. You don't see them at all, I feel like. Like, there's maybe like 20 or 30 guys. I think Adam LZ has one. Everyone watches Adam LZ, so they're going to yell at me if I'm wrong or call me dumb. But I just want to see more representation of that chassis in general.
A lot of cars in pit lane, but a lot of cars still on track, roasting some tires, kicking some dust up.
That's always a contentious thing. Yeah, that's a good tandem. Wish you could hang that angle out a little longer there. They're getting in there. They're getting close. They're getting more comfortable.
Yeah,
he shut it down a little earlier there, that chase car. But
yeah, so do you think leading or chasing is the harder piece from your perspective?
I think chasing is harder. Chasing is 100% harder because you have to be able to read the lead driver and adapt your line to their line, especially if they, in a big pack like this, it's basically just non-stop drivers going. If someone crashes, someone spins out, you don't, and it's not the car directly in front of you, it might be 2 or 3 cars ahead of you and you can't see it, you have to be able to react instantly to the car leading you, whatever they're correcting for. And you're not going to have a lot of time to do that. And you have to know, you want to be more comfortable with their chassis as well as yours, so you know, like, if they stab the brakes, that you also have the brake pressure or the brake to stop just as quickly and not smash right into them. So it's a whole nother style of driving. Everything you're watching is different. All your reference points are different. But we can pull it off. It's beautiful. Beautiful to watch.
There's Mazda MX-5 Miata.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love seeing short wheelbase cars out here, too. Those are so tricky, and they take so much skill to drive to keep them in drift, especially in the higher speed courses like this.
You know, it's interesting because long wheelbase on a track car that is, designed for track battle or something like that, long wheelbase gives you stability, but it also does when you're sideways, right? Because
absolutely.
There's just not a lot of inherent stability in a short wheelbase car. So even when you're trying to stay straight, it's tricky, and when you're trying to keep it sideways, it's tricky.
100%. It also has to do with the weight distribution, because all the weight's in the front. So when you have the long wheelbase, you can really flick it out, and there's not as much weight back there, so it'll slowly kind of like pendulum around, and you can control that and get that in smoother where you want it, lock in your angle, and then put the power on. With the quick wheelbase, it flicks out really fast, and it doesn't want to hold angle as much. It just wants to straighten out because you're relatively closer to being straight. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about that. I mean, it's just a physics problem, right? So you mentioned, weight balance and weight transfer.
Yeah.
That drift is all about weight transfer and balancing the car.
100%.
It's not necessarily. I mean, these cars sometimes will drive better sideways than they do straight because of the way they're set up. The suspension geometry plays into that a ton as well.
And it's so complicated, and it's honestly interesting, the front end geometry especially, because the rear end, you kind of want the wheels to adjust for body roll as you're kind of rolling one way or the other, so you have your consistent contact patch. But the front, like the Ackerman, the camber, the caster, everything like at lock versus every kind of 10 to 15 degrees of turning, you want to have dialed in exactly where you want it to be, so that at any amount of like either lock or like counter steering less or more, you always want to have that contact patch. You always want to have it controllable, and that's really tricky to dial in.
Through Big Bend, here comes another one.
Beautiful little S13 here with a camo. Oop, dirt drop. This thing looks like a little missile. Looks super fun to drive. No engine or no hood, so let's see. It looks like a 2J turbo, so that's fun. This is literally my dream setup right here.
Should go talk to him after.
Yeah, maybe he'll let me drive it, a.k.a.
Or go
crash
for a
it.
ride.
Yeah,
at least,
true.
Right?
That'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. Straightens it out through No Name Straight. I think later in the weekend we'll see some people trying to manji this backstretch, but I'm not convinced that they're going to do it in the first session.
Oh, here goes. Oh, there was somebody back there.
They're going to give it a try.
Yeah, I love to see it. Here you go. I think these guys are both front street drivers as well here. Getting that, come on, keep that angle up. See, he had to go wide there because he had more wheel speed, so then he could dive back in later once he reinitiated in the front. He's still shutting it down a little early. I'd like to see him stay with the lead driver further.
That left-hander is a little tricky, too. There's sort of like a mini apex, and then it kind of dives in a little deeper. So there's
interesting.
2 little apexes there, so if you initiate too early, you're going to end up in the grass.
That makes sense.
And we'll see it
Here
again.
we go. Yeah. This thing's beautiful, too. Koguchi fenders, Type X, front end. Gets it around there.
You see, he had to
So
kind of
that's the first one there. I see.
Well, so he was kind of hanging out like 30 degrees, and he had to kick it out a little more like 45 to finish the.
So is it like decreasing radius,
decreasing.
or is it?
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So if we watch next time someone goes through there, we'll point it out.
That's an excellent corner for reverse entries.
There you go.
Maybe more than turn 1, because decreasing radius, the amount of speed you're scrubbing in a reverse entry, you need to be able to also hold that angle and continue around the corner holding that angle. So decreasing radius turns are perfect for that. Otherwise, you have like a normal kind of 180 degree turn, I guess. You're scrubbing so much speed coming in, and you're not even at the apex yet.
Right.
But with decreasing radius, you're pointing the car around, and you know the turn's going to come in a lot tighter. You're already rotating the correct amount.
So going in Michael S.'s FCP Euro drift car is Sam Posey. Now, if you're near the front straightaway and you see the big Sam Posey straight decal, Sam Posey has a lot of significance here at Lime Rock Park, and he's going to jump in and go for a ride in Michael S.'s drift car.
Sweet.
That is really cool. This is blending the motorsports community together in the best way possible.
I love that GRIDLIFE offers everybody the chance to get into that passenger seat, like from other walks of racing, especially with the pros, especially with the high horsepower cars, because you're going to get thrown right into the most fun experience that you can have in a drift car. Let's see, we got another couple of the ASM drivers coming around here, pouring the smoke.
That's Robert Thorne behind the wheel. Whoop, he's in GLTC this weekend. He had to kind of flick it back and forth to get that initiation.
No problems there, because that's deceptively a long stretch between 1 and 2. So munging that makes perfect sense to me.
And he's got...
they're carrying it through. That's beautiful.
Wow, look at Collins carrying it all the way into No Name. Look at that.
Let's go.
He's still got the rear tires lit up. Now he backs off.
Man, these cars look amazing, too.
They looked good together, too.
Oh, yeah.
ASM decals on the side and similar body styles. I think Pete's got a different bumper on it now. New wrap on that car, by the way, this weekend.
Yeah.
Got metallic blue.
That's one thing that East Coast guys cares about a lot more than West Coast people is their paint is always on point.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys like Ryan Literal from the West Coast who have like really good paint, but for the most part, like we just get so much sun and we just leave our cars parked on the street and they get disgusting. But here, the paint is always perfect. The bodywork is always immaculate. It's a detail that I like really appreciate.
So Essa is behind the wheel of the FCP Euro BMW. He's got Sam Posey in the, well, I think he will have Sam Posey in the passenger seat shortly.
Shaka brah.
Shaka brah.
So the fun thing about Michael Essa too is I'll see him at time attack events at Buttonwillow, time attacking a V8 S14. Mm-hmm. So he has his personal car, and he still does grip days and everything too to bring out. And it's so fun to talk to him about kind of both worlds. You know, like not a lot of people are doing pro drifting and time attack at the same time. They're usually all in on drifting or all in on time attack. It's really fun to see.
It really is. Lots of haze over the racetrack right now, all the lingering smoke, which is great.
And we're in that valley, so it's all going to just kind of stay there.
Yeah. I think Darrell Waltrip calls, he's got the vortex theory of like, you know, doing laps really, really fast keeps the rain away. I think we're just going to make a smoke dome over Lime Rock Park, and that might keep any weather away. Here come the ASM boys again, Thorne and Collins.
Nice. They initiated nice and close, so you can see the difference in really its chassis setup that lets one car get so far ahead, even if they initiated at the same speed. One car is just carrying more speed at angle versus the other one.
Whoop, he got a little off kilter there through the left-hander. But Thorne carries it through. Now, Thorne has just started running Formula D this year.
Oh, nice.
And so he's got, he's performed actually really, really well, but he still comes and hangs out with us on occasion to do drift here and
Hell yeah.
run GLTC as well. Two very different on-track activities, but he has fun in both, and he's good at both.
I love that. I love that you, like, keep in touch with your roots. Like, that's what keeps the kind of the sport alive, or all of motorsports alive. Is like,
and he's actually got history as in Pirelli World Challenge, running in pro racing in the World Challenge SRO side of things. So
hell yeah.
he comes from a grip background, and now he's in the drift world and the grip world at the same time. It's cool stuff.
Dreams. That's what dreams are made of.
that's what dreams are made of.
This thing is sick right here. This Miata, like, all slammed out. I wonder, he might have, I'm trying to remember what the motors come in that. Hopefully it's just like turbo or something. I don't know. Let's see what this guy's got. Oh, I didn't realize this is a convertible Z. That's kind of cool.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing. For a while, like Chris Forsberg, I think the 2006 or 2007, he might have won the championship in FD, was running convertible 350Z.
I never knew that the 350Z came in a convertible.
Oh, yeah, look at that thing.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's so wonky. I've never seen a hardtop one before, to be honest. That's kind of cool.
I wonder, that couldn't be custom. They must have aftermarket hardtops, right?
Yeah, it must be aftermarket. I don't know what they came with stock, but it's funny, you can't even tell from the front.
Yeah, little baby Manji there, whipping the car left and right.
Testing it out. I think the lower horsepower cars, they should start manging between 1 and 2. Because that is such a long initiation, and that corner is still so quick. They're scrubbing so much speed. He is able to pull it off really nice right there. But I think this is one of the turbo LS cars, based on the sound and the wheel speed.
Look at all the angle he's got through 4. That was impressive. And back to the left, back to the right.
There's going to be sick photos from Larry from that.
I can't wait. I mean, this place photographs well.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Photographing a pigeon on the back straightaway, let alone a drifting car. It's so cool, dude. There's just so much to watch and look at.
All the greenery, I don't know, it's just beautiful. The air's so clean. It's not the desert. Well, I'm always in the desert, so everything's always brown.
Well, it is a little dry here, but it's been a little bit of a drought. But it's not desert. Here's Essa.
Here goes Essa.
Now, does he have
He's
his
got
passenger?
Oh, he does. Oh, wow.
He does.
The seat is mounted so low.
Yep. So Sam Posey going for a ride along. This is a true passing of the torch moment here.
That's awesome.
This is, motorsports inclusion is GRIDLIFE's motto here, and getting everybody involved in every aspect of GRIDLIFE, whether it's drift, track battle, GLTC, HPDE, spectating. You get everybody in on everything, and this is a perfect example. Sam Posey, the front straightaway is named after that guy, and he's going for a ride right now. And I bet you he's never done a lap around Lime Rock just like that one. That is cool.
That's awesome. Another example of that too, like you're mentioning the crossover. Like Turk's starting to do time attack now.
Yeah, he's got his Formula Supra, his Judd V10 powered Supra in time attack.
That thing sounds insane.
It
sounds like you're at like an IMSA event or something. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is like a prototype car or some shit.
Sounds like you're at like Spa in like 1995 watching Formula One. It's so cool.
Let's get more of those. Let's get a class for Judd V10.
Yeah, let's please do.
Chris, come on.
There's Turk back out on the 86 and transitioning back to the left at the left-hander. And look at how
beautiful.
It just aims right for the curb and just touches it with the left front tire.
A little bit of correction, a little bit of walking it in, but ultimately classy, delicious.
In competitive drift, they've got clipping points and clipping zones.
Yep. So there'll be clipping zones, which is basically like we want you to put either 2 wheels in this zone or the whole car. It'll be outer zones or inner zones. So it could be like we want you to be, usually they're subsequently an outer zone and then an inner zone, depending on how the corner works. But you like go outside, drag the bumper on the outside, dive inside, hit your inside clipping point, go back wide again. Kind of the same as usually racing angles, but just with a lot more style.
It's fun to watch. And, of course, GRIDLIFE isn't competitive, but you still are applying the same ideas to hit the marks on the racetrack to make it all work.
The fun thing, too, is with, like, in GLTC, when they're all packed in there and you're trying to go 3 wide and you're, like, all the way on the outside, maybe carrying more speed. You see guys start to get loose and you're like, they tandem for, like, 2 seconds. Those two S2000s, which you never see drifting. You're like, cool. And then they keep going usually.
Little slip and a little slide. Actually, I think Tom at Mid-Ohio last year after he won a race in the rain, he did an entire cooldown lap sideways. So I think he'd loved a chance to get behind the wheel of one of those drift cars for sure. But it looks like that might do it for drift, at least for the first session of the day. We've got 2 more sessions later this afternoon. So make sure that if you're trackside, you stick around with us. If you're watching at home, make sure that you're sticking around all day because we've got more coming. GLTC qualifying is up next at 1:50 Eastern. So that's coming up next. It will be followed by Track Battle. Actually, no, it's going to be drift right again after qualifying. qualifying again at 2:15, so about an hour from now.
Gotta go get in that lift.
All right, go get in the lift.
All right,
We'll see ya.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, so TrackBattle, their next run will be at 3:55. Up next, though, GridLife Touring Cup qualifying at 1:50. We'll see you there. Coverage of GridLife Circuit Legends is brought to you by Momo, made in Italy since 1964. And by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. GridLife Circuit Legends is brought to you by eBay Motors. Let's ride. And by Falcon Tires. The Falcon Azenas RT660 is the official tire of Club TR. And by Pilot Transport, the official logistics partner of GridLife Circuit Legends.
At 303, we're always chasing perfection. Protect your ride with graphene nanospray coating. Now, boost protection, shine, and slickness with Graphene Detailer. Level up your detailing game. Harness the power of graphene with 303.
Ooh. Call Logano. Hey, Joey, you can save money if you fill up at Shell if you use Advanced Auto Parts Speed Perks.
Dude, I'm way ahead of you.
You saved at the pump?
Yeah, I saved at the pump.
The pump?
The pump.
He saved at the pump!
Woo! Now you can save at the pump when you shop at Advance Auto Parts. Learn more at advanceautoparts.com/gas rewards.
Now, it's my turn.
The more power you have, the more grip you have, the more you push the limits, the more stopping power you need. Get race-proven technology. Hawk Performance.
Hey, we still on this weekend for a little...
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some...
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting... Yeah, dun, da, 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 the wedding. She's getting married, so...
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. Stable 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
We've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.